Welcome, BitmonkeyTV. This is another segment of Tech Tip Tuesday. I think this is take 3. Forgive the intro. I was about to go with the normal sequence, and I realized we don't follow the normal sequence on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, one viewer already. Dope. Thanks for tuning in. So today's topic, we're going to be focused on the abbreviation I like saying is MEW. But it's MyEtherWallet, MEW, all caps, right? MyEtherWallet. We're going to walk through a process on creating a 24-character seed phrase, as well as creating a custom, in addition to that seed phrase. I'm going to kind of show you this little trick. This is just one of many pairings of wallets that I'll personally use. And this one enables me to hook up a hot spare on my mobile device through the MEW CX app on your, it should be available on most Google Play stores, as well as the iOS app, the app store there. Now, before I get started, please proceed with your own caution, okay? I'm gonna be kind of walking through my process and hopefully helping to educate you more on how these seed phrases are stored, how you should store the seed phrase. I highly recommend never storing it digitally, unless of course it is digitally on an air-gapped computer. Now, what an air-gapped computer means is it's a computer that has never hit the internet. You have that peace of mind knowing that there is no link to the outside world capturing your screen, right? Hey, V-Fran, hey, what's up, Cam, Gary? Thank you guys for tuning in. Happy to have you here. How you guys doing today? Hope it's a good day wherever you're at. As far as weather, I know on the East Coast that hurricane just passed. Over here, it's nice and it's blue skies, man. It's hot. It's hot in this apartment. I have all the doors and windows open. I know I usually go through the routine of closing it all. So if you guys hear a lot of background noise or like anything annoying or distracting, just let me know. And I'll go ahead and close all the windows and the door. But I got my boy Blue here, and he's like panting, you know, because it is hot. It does get hot in here when the sun's just beaming at it. Good, hot as hell, yeah. Yeah, hopefully you're, you know, relaxing, enjoying this weather as much as you can. You know, I know when it's hot as hell, it's hard to enjoy that. If anything, hot as hell kind of makes you tired as hell. You know what I mean? You're kind of sluggish all day. I know the feeling. So let's get into it. Let's jump it on over. So I would recommend, if you guys want, follow along. If you haven't used this this site before, this is the OG wallet. Right, this is the wallet. MetaMask utilizes MetaMask and Brave browser plugins. They utilize essentially MetaMask, which utilizes a 12 seed phrase. If you notice, most websites where you try to go and connect your wallet, more often than not, and this is at this moment in time, this may change down the road, right? But you cannot connect a wallet that's anything other than a 12 or 24 seed phrase onto any Web3 enabled site, because a lot of them don't support it, right? And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here in a moment. So I would highly recommend create one with me and just don't use this, right? Throw it away. That way you get that repetition, that muscle memory. We can go through this together. And I should probably do a better job at keeping 94 here finally in AC. Whoo. Yeah, and hot in Rhode Island too. Man, that's crazy. Did that hurricane hit you at all? I'm curious. I know there was a hurricane through NYC there. I know that's, you know, different on the map, but I have a feeling hurricanes, they reach a lot of neighboring, you know, states and cities. Luckily over here, we don't have to worry about that too much. If anything, we got to worry about tsunamis, but we haven't really been hit with one, I don't think in my lifetime. So just had rain and wind, but not anything crazy. Yeah, that's good. You know, I haven't had a nice rainy day. I don't know about you guys, but I look forward to rainy days sometimes. You know, I switch up my routine. I like running in the rain. So this week, you know, I'm going to pop back over, get a little personal real quick. After that trip, man, it's been a great recharge. I've been taking my cold showers every morning. I didn't exercise or run on Monday, but I ran this morning. And man, I got to say, I'm just feeling good. The energy's there, the routine. I feel back in control, and it's only been a few days. You know what I mean? I just felt like I lost control there of my own routine and my own habits, which is not a good thing to do. You know what I mean? In my opinion. So, just wanted to share that with you guys. Like I don't know about you, but I'm a runner, and I'll run in any weather. I don't care if it's hot out. it's the one thing I can't do. Shout out to Money Mayweather. Motherfucker will run in 110, 115, 120 degree weather out in Vegas, just keep his cardio up for his fights. I got no urge to do that. I don't need cardio like that. So I tip my hat off to you, 50-0. Even though that last fight, yeah, man, props to you and everything you're doing. Oops, I totally just hit the wrong frame. So we're going to walk through it here. Let's cut it back. So hopefully you guys are following along here. Let's go to MyEtherWallet.com. We're going to select create a new wallet. And keep in mind, I recommend not keeping this one, right? This is a test. This is a lab. We're having fun. We're experimenting. So do not keep anything valuable on this one since we're going to be running through it pretty quick. I like to, and you see how it gives you a warning out the gate. Software methods like key, store, file, and mnemonic phrase should only be used in offline settings by experienced users. So this is where I was talking about having an air-gapped computer comes in very, very handy. You technically don't even need it to be air-gapped. There are tricks to where if you're familiar with a VMware workstation, you can deploy a fresh OS of whether it's a Linux-based distribution or Windows 10 and have it not attach a network adapter. Now, you do run into the risk of your primary host becoming compromised, but then the bug itself would have to decipher that you have a virtual machine with no network adapter to then infect that one, right? As long as you keep it powered off for the most part, you only power it on when you need to. That's another route for using an air-gapped computer. It's just you got to make sure when you plug in that USB or whatever your storage method is that it doesn't automatically go to your host if that host is online. Now, if you are going this method, right, if you don't have another physical device, I'd recommend anytime you operate in this air-gapped virtual environment, unplug your host from the network, right, before you power on that virtual machine. That provides peace of mind knowing that that virtual machine has remained air-gapped, right, that your host wasn't online for a moment in time, possibly, right, putting that machine at risk. Now let's get straight to it. Hit software, mnemonic phrase. This is why I love Mu over, I mean, this alone, there's many, many other reasons, right? But over MetaMask, right? MetaMask doesn't give you the option of 12 or 24 words. It's just 12 words. They also don't give you the option to add an extra word. This is the fun part. So I am, for the sake of this video, as much as I'd love to write this down by hand, I also want to save people time for anybody rewatching this in the future. I'm just going to copy paste this. Please do not do this, right? Do this for the sake of the lab, but please, if you're following this as a guide to set up a wallet that you intend to use and store a lot of valuables on, please, please, please write this out by hand. Write this out by hand. Do not store it digitally, and repeat after me. You will never give out this seed phrase. Repeat after me. I will never give out my seed phrase. I will never give out my seed phrase. And if you're a Simpsons buff, imagine Bart Simpson writing on chalkboard for the intro or outro. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, man, I love it. I don't have Scott here to check me, so I can't tell if I'm ranting or not. Hopefully this is all valid. I got to make my point, right? This is a test. So please, as we're testing, you see me, I'm copy pasting into a notepad. Oh, maybe you don't. Let me make sure. I will never give up my seed phrase. I love it. Yeah, let me actually pull up another window because I just realized that I guess you guys don't need to see it, right? But I have another notepad window open just to the right of the seed phrase, and I copied, and it copies over 1 piece. 2 improve. 3 bacon. Oh, see, if you caught me like 5 years ago, 7 years ago, I'd use the seed phrase for sure. Before I went vegan, bacon wrapped everything. I'm not gonna lie, the smell still gets me. Cutting back. Yeah, I don't need to show you guys that notepad. All right, you can open up your own notepad depending on what you're using, right? If you're using a Mac, I'm sure it's called text editor or Linux-based distribution. Make sure you note all of these down. And then this is the best part. So don't take this literally, right? Just 1 word, fuck that, right? Use 2 words, use 3 words, use 4 words. I'm gonna start spitting off just random objects. Use case sensitive, right? Now, keep in mind this extra word, do not lose it along with your seed phrase, right? Here's why I love this. I, so far, have not received a limit on the number of characters for the extra word. The one thing I'm refraining from doing is putting any spaces though. You know what I mean? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can also start mixing in. I've personally successfully used special characters in this extra word. So that's hella funny. Fuck that pillow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this is such a funny extra word. So I'm going to copy this and put this in my notepad, right? Now, what's going to happen here is when we say we wrote them down and we go through this process, what MyEtherWallet's actually going to do is it's first going to create a wallet with your 24 seed phrase above, and then it's also going to create that secondary added layer of security. They don't necessarily tell you this. I learned this through trial and error. I learned this from trying to recover an old seed. I messed up one character on the extra word, so it made me try to just recover it as the 24 word seed phrase. I was like, wait a second, I don't remember creating this without the extra word. And after a little bit of due diligence, well, what MyEtherWallet does is it'll reserve that 24 seed phrase regardless, right? Because you're creating this extra word, so you are going to be the owner and user of these 24 seeds. So it's not going to hand out this arrangement of words ever again, right? You have the OG 24 seed phrase. So that's why it does that. The reason I wanted to bring this up is it's very, very convenient on your mobile device. As soon as I learned this, I set up a set of wallets so that I can have one on my mobile, right? I can always access. Now, my primary wallet is not on my mobile. I never recommend any primary wallets, any wallets that have a majority of your stuff in it, to hook up to any mobile device, to be honest. I just don't trust them, right? Especially if you're the type to go visit a public Wi-Fi. All it takes is one person capturing data with Wireshark or some other network analyzing tool. And it's just bits and bytes, ones and zeros, right? But they filter that data a certain way, and they can pull any password, right? Like, let's say you connect to this public Wi-Fi and you're automatically connected to your MyEtherWallet. Now, I personally haven't tried this. I should probably do a lab where we... Ooh, that would be a good lab. You guys just gave me an idea. This is going to be down the road, obviously, because this would require some prep. But I can create a dummy network, and we can create a seed phrase, attach the wallet. We can capture the network's traffic and see if that, that seed phrase is viewable there, right? If we can somehow crack in, that'd be a fun lab to do. I would love to hear if you guys would want to see that. I ain't never, ever, ever going to give out that seed phrase. I love it. I will never give out my seed phrase. Now, I know I scrolled right there, so let's cut back over. So number 3 was bacon. I remember that word. Number 6 was push. And number 21 was tip. Confirm extra word. All right. Verify. Bam. Well done. So now we got to go access the wallet. Now it's just like going back to the home page, right? They automatically took us to this this part here. But if for some reason you lose it, it's this other button, right? We click the button on the left, just click the button on the right. Now they do have a browser extension that you can hook it up to. We'll walk through that later. And this is where we have to enter it in manually. Now luckily we wrote it down, so we'll walk through it real quick. And I am, for the sake of showing you, I'm not going to click extra word yet. Reason being, I thought we put an extra word, right? This shouldn't work. No. Did I misspell this? Let's see. Penalty, tip, culture, reduce, present. I did. Clicked it right on the right one. Penalty. Ah, that's when I wasn't looking at the keyboard, huh? All right, let's walk through it. Peace, improve, bacon. Fade, whale, push, secret, Envelope. Traffic. Ah, Plimpic. 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 Olympic. Tongue twisters here. Bam. Now leave this as default. Always want to leave this as default because we're primary. I mean, unless you wanted to create something on Ethereum Classic, don't fuck around with that. Just keep it default. When in doubt, keep the settings default. This is a rule of thumb for anything in tech. When in doubt, just keep it default and then go Google. You know what I mean? And Google with caution, right? Don't just go click on any link and then get sucked into something like, oh, free giveaway here. That's how they get you, right? If it's too good to be true, just like all these DMs we're getting, let's take a little moment to clip this one. I will not give out my seed phrase. I will not give out my seed phrase. I will not give out my seed phrase. If they're DMing you saying you won a lot of money, come on. It's like the king of Israel or whatever, like The Office, Michael Scott said, when the prince of blah, blah, blah needs money, you send it to him and you don't even ask. Oh, I fucking love that show. Shout out Michael Scott. I know that's not your real name, Steve Carell, but shout out Michael Scott. Gotta love it. I will not give out my seed phrase. If you get a DM and it sounds too good to be true, it most likely is. So let's cut it right back. I'm such a mess security-wise. I use my phone, use my laptop on public Wi-Fi at the gym. I do use a VPN, but that's not good enough, I think. So I will not one head, tomato, wrist, nerve, garment, emotion. Oops, give out my seed phrase. I love it. So you are actually going through the lab. I love how you saved them. So let's cut back over here. We're going to go full screen. Now, you guys saw that, right? This is technically not the wallet that we wanted, right? It doesn't have that extra word, but the benefit of this wallet is this wallet can be used to attach to any major site, right? This is the one that I would personally use, just the 24 seed phrase on your mobile device. Now, the one thing I didn't set up for this lab is to capture a mobile screen. I'll probably have to use an emulator for future ones. I'll download, I forget, I think Eclipse is one that we can use to emulate a mobile device's screen and kind of walk through a Play Store or an App Store. We're not going to have that today, right? But let's say you were to, let's say you're on Android. My phone dead. I forgot about that. I'm going to pull up, just want to see if I can give you guys just a quick example of what it looks like. Usually if you just search, you can get some screenshots occasionally of other people trying to do the same thing. So this is what it looks like on your mobile device, this icon here. All right. Just to confirm, oh, there we go. We can go straight to the link. So this is the real one. Yeah. It only has 3.5 stars. Most of these 1-star reviews are people who are, no offense, they just aren't patient. They make a mistake. They maybe lose their wallet, lose their seed phrase, and then blame it on the app, and they give the app a negative review. So far, I've had no issues. So, like I said, though, at the beginning of this episode, please set everything up that I'm showing you here. If you're going to follow through with using this method, just do a test one first. Test on your phone. Always test very thoroughly, okay? And repeat after me. I will not give out my seed phrase. I will not give out my seed phrase. So one thing I want you to keep track of here, look at this public IP or public address here. It ends in F818, right? That was the first. We're going to log out. Yes, we're sure. We're going to go right back in, access my wallet. And we're going to go back to mnemonic phrase. We're now going to go enter in those original 24. And hopefully you're doing this at the same time. And then at the very end, make sure we check add your word, okay? And you're going to see firsthand exactly the difference. I mean, the very first primary wallet ID is going to be completely different. Those two wallets are not connected in any way, shape, or form. So if for some reason this 24 seed gets compromised, And there's a reason I mentioned in the post that this is technically like a hot cold wallet, because it's not entirely defined as cold storage. Cold storage is a wallet that you deposit into and you only withdraw when you're ready to cash it all out, right? When you're ready to make those moves, right? It's not that everyday wallet that you move stuff in and out of, right? But using this method, you have like think of it almost like a firewall in a way, right? You have this first wall that, okay, if this one gets compromised, I'm fucked. Whatever's in there, bam, consider it gone. However, they don't have that extra word, and as long as you make it more complicated than one word, right, like what we showed you in the example, you have that added layer of security. You have that firewall, right? So if somebody breaches that initial phrase, they can't get what's most important, what's most valuable, right? The second wallet that's attached with this special one word, which you're really I will be fully transparent. I use more than 10 words. I'm not going to give you the exact number, but it's way more than 10 words. And like I said, I haven't reached a point where there's a limit. So food for thought. I can't give you specifics on the mine because that will allow people to reverse engineer how I store things. And that's obviously not good for security purposes, right? That's why I'm concerned for anybody who's sharing private information on their socials. Anybody, I mean, there are so many people trying to get your shit. All right. Please be cautious with what information you reveal about the way you store things, and be cautious that you're not giving away keywords that are in your passphrase. You know what I mean? Because it's really, really easy. The first thing a hacker will do is they'll try to social engineer their way into your life. So they'll look at what you're doing on social media. They're looking at who you're talking to. They're looking at what you're posting, what you like, what you don't like. You know what I mean? All that's public for the most part in most of our cases, right? So please exercise caution. I love it. I love it. All right. I know I scrolled away there, but I have to make that point across. Like, stop giving out all this sensitive information, people. Just proceed with your own caution. And now, if you tried this with me, we can go back. It will save it, right? Just because we're kind of cached here. But you see how I did enter in this second phrase, this extra word? Keep everything default. Let's go in it. What do you see there? That's a completely different wallet address, isn't it? Right? One way to quickly double check here, if you can go back, always hit never there. And it will hold them in the cache data, right? Your word's still going to be there. You can then expose it, erase it, go next. You see how it still goes through, right? Let's go next. Bam, there's that other wallet address. So what we're essentially doing is we're toggling between the two wallets through the mnemonic farce. Is that correct? Farce? I thought it was supposed to be phrase. Man, farce. Yeah. Wait. Is this a word or was that a typo on their website? I'm curious. Do you guys, I think phrase. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Huh. That's interesting. I just noticed that. Anyway, we're getting off topic here. Let's go back. So this is what I would like to call the hot spare of these two. So let's look at these two wallets that we've created and think of them as that 24 seed phrase is your hot spare. You don't care if you lose it. You only use it to send and receive, right? It's a middleman, or a monkey in the middle, so to speak. It will hold things usually no longer than 48 to maybe 96 hours, right? Maybe that full week you're kind of playing with it, but you want to be mindful of hot spares to empty them more often than not, right? Because they're meant to be there as a hot spare, as a man in the middle. That way, if that hot spare is ever compromised, they're only going to capture what you're leaving in there that week. You know what I mean? And then from there, I would always, let's go back really quickly. So what I generally do is I'll save these and I'll throw them in a sticky note or a notepad. So that's going to be 24 hot spare. And we're going to run it back. And I totally just, I'm going to have to retype that out. Is my memory this good? Two, three, four, five. The special characters are going to be tough to guess. Do I still have that open? Oh, I do. Thank God. All right. Did I get this right? Yeah. All right. You'll see here, this address is completely different, right? It's they are not linked whatsoever, right? Because technically speaking, this is a 25 seed phrase wallet. You'll find that most websites will not allow you to attach a 25 or a 13 seed phrase wallet. Hence why MetaMask only uses 12, right? Not to say it's bad, not to say somebody can get in. The chances of somebody guessing your words and the way they're organized 1 through 12, I mean, they're astronomical. However, it is possible, like going back to what I was saying with the social engineering, with how people will look into what you're posting, because everybody wants to share something, right? In most cases. And you can find little pieces and bits of information that they're not telling you it's private, but chances are it's going to link up to something private, and it's going to expose them, right? Whether they're financials or whether it's an Ethereum wallet like this. So what's really cool is if you're testing this, since I can't do this on the demo, go ahead and test on your phone. I'll keep this live so that I can maybe help and provide any guidance. What I'd like you to do is just upload the 24 seed phrase. You can try to put in the extra word. You'll find it doesn't work. And you'll find that you can attach that onto your mobile. Now, what's really cool, I probably shouldn't have logged out. Let me go back in it real quick. On your mobile, within the MEW app, right? And now I'm speaking from Android because I primarily operate on Android. Within the app, you can browse. You can browse any Web3 enabled site, right? You can go to OpenSea.io. You can attach, if you've created multiple wallets within the one seed phrase, you have to select your wallet. But I've successfully, you can list, you can delist, you can buy, all with peace of mind through the MEW app. What's really cool about that app as well is, now this could be a problem, but it's you can add two-factor to it, but it does require biometrics, or it doesn't require, you have the option to put in biometrics. I like it. You can put it in your 2 fingers. But then you can layer it in with a pin as well. So anytime you open the app, you don't have to enter in your seed phrase each time, right? You just do it that initial time to configure it, that 24 seed. And then from there, you use fingerprint/pin code to access it, right? This is why I say this is only a hot spare. Let's say for whatever reason, your phone is compromised, right? You got to just expect that 24 seed phrase to be compromised too. So the one thing I would always do in that scenario is immediately transfer that hot spare to that cold hot spare, right? That 24 seed phrase plus the extra word. You have that added peace of mind. Then you get a little extra time to where if you just don't trust that 24 seed phrase, if you don't trust how secure and how difficult that extra word was, it just gives you that kind of like that step, right? You send everything to the hot cold, and then you have some time, right? Usually I do it the same fucking hour if you feel like you're being compromised. Create that second set of wallets and then move it over so you have a new foundation of 24 seeds, right? A 24 seed phrase to work off of. So yeah, I hope this, now, do you guys have any questions? I know I kind of babbled on there. I wanted to share as much as my personal thought behind how I operate with what I was walking through. So I'm curious to see if you guys were following along, if you ran into any issues, right? Or does this make sense? I'd love to hear it. And in the meantime, let me pull up this wallet one more time. We're just going to do the 24. Now, key stores for another day. I do want to do an offline one, but I can't stream to you when I'm offline. You know what I mean? So I'll have to create, I don't have an air-gapped virtual machine. So I'll create one for the sake of this show. And then what I'll be able to do in future episodes is I can actually open up another screen for VMware, and I can just show you that entire window of that virtual machine. So I think that'll be very, very valuable. I'd love to hear it right now, you know, for you guys watching. Do you want to know how to not only deploy, but operate an air-gapped machine? I'm not going to be able to fully do it air-gapped, right? I can guide you guys through, but the fact that I'm streaming my host to show you the air-gapped machine, in my opinion, that's not air-gapped anymore, right? Because your host has access to the internet. Anytime the host has access to the internet, just assume it's all compromised. Just my opinion. Based off of experience. Yes, air-gapped machine, at least to get an idea. Yeah. What I can do is set up the virtual machine, show you how I set it up. That way, if you ever wanted to test yourself, you can set one up yourself. Trying to think of the best way, but generally you always want to configure it when your machine's offline. So you can always set one up while the machine's online for the sake of testing, and then delete it, rinse and repeat, unplug your machine from any network, disable your network adapters, right? Since I know you're running PC, I'd have to teach everybody on a Mac how to do this. I don't have that one memorized, but and then from there, once that host is offline, then you go through that whole process of creating that air-gapped machine. And then you only open it and unpause it from its suspension mode, because there's a way to sleep the virtual machine so you don't have to reboot it each time. You can just keep it in its booted state, but just take snapshots of it, right? Your backups in the virtual machine lingo. So I have MetaMask on my phone. If I use different wallet, is the MU safe from MetaMask account if one gets compromised? You know, that's a good question. I would... Because if your phone gets compromised, then both are compromised, you would think, right? But if you use... So if they get compromised on another machine, like, for example, let's say you accidentally give up your seed phrase. Maybe it's on your desktop, whatever. No, because as long as you didn't store that seed phrase for that MyEtherWallet in that same location, you should be okay. Now, maybe I'm misunderstanding that question. Does that answer it, Gary? Because as long as you don't keep that private key in the same location, that's key, right? Now, if you have a little notepad on your phone with your seed phrases and the wallet's attached, you know, yes, in that case, both would be compromised. But it sounds like you're doing the right thing with the VPN. That's very smart. I'm curious, what service do you use? Is it like ExpressVPN? Is it Malwarebytes VPN privacy? Be curious to know. I personally use a handful of different ones, but Malwarebytes is my favorite. But then on top of Malwarebytes, I have my own private one, which connects me to my network here, to be specific. So Norton for Gamers. Oh, Norton for Gamers. Oh, okay, cool. I personally haven't used that one. How's the speed through the tunnel? Is it fast? Because I know through some VPN services, your download speed will be significantly slower on the other end. I'm guessing if they created it for gamers, they're mindful of that, and it's going to be as fast as possible. But I'm sure you would have noticed by now, right? If it's getting choppy on you. Yeah. And I'm sure the one way to ultimately test, if you wanted to know, I'll cut it back. For those who are always curious about their internet connection, I use speedtest.sonic.net. Now, if you're not in California, you don't know who this is, most likely. I don't think they're outside of Cali. But they are an ISP provider in the Bay Area. I'm not sure if they do Southern California yet. But the reason I love these guys so much, this is one of two connections that I host. As you can see, this one's okay. It averages between about 50 and 80, and it's a great little throwaway network IP that I use, right? It's kind of like my version of a hot spare, if you think about it, right? I have another private network that has its own public IP coming in, and it's much faster, but I only host certain things on it. You know what I mean? All my end user devices are on this general connection. But this is how you would go. You can always go to Google speed test, and I'm pretty sure they have one built into their search engine now. So this one's actually a little different. Look at that. 2 different results. Now, it could have just been that moment in time. Sometimes, it is 5:39. You'd be surprised. A lot of these ISPs, they'll peak at certain hours, and you'll notice your download speed isn't always the same. But can I say something? Look at those numbers. Look at those numbers. Man, if only it was 77.7. So going back to it. Yeah, that's the gist of it, right? That is how I would personally go through to create 2 sets of wallets, right? I define them now. The industry might define them differently, but I define them as a hot spare and then a cold hot spare. I do want to get into the cold storage. I love that. I'm going to set up. Would you like me to do just how to operate an air-gapped machine or how to also set up? What's 9090 mean? Okay, 9090. Cool. Both sides. So it's pretty consistent, it sounds like. So, but I'd love to hear it. Would you guys like an episode that's focused and tailored on from square one, how to set up VMware Workstation, how to set up a virtual machine, how to start from scratch and then work your way through? Or are you confident you can get to that point and then what we'll do is just that Fios. Yes, isn't that from Verizon, if I'm not mistaken? Now, aren't they broadband or are they broadband through LTE? Because I know that's kind of like I might have misspoken there, right? I don't think you can have broadband with 4G LTE. Broadband is usually considered a hardwired fiber connection. Could be wrong. But I know they were pushing that 4G LTE. Yep. Ah, okay. That's what I thought. I love it. So, yeah, just the air gap. So we don't want to start from square one. We'll just how to operate an air gap machine. Got it. Yeah. So do you guys have any more questions? I know that's for the MyEtherWallet. We really pushed on through it. Let me bring this back up. I know I was going to show you something else here. So let's open this back up. So I'm just going to be accessing the 24. I did it again, didn't I? Olympic traffic. Which one looks off? Penalty. Did it again with the penalty. I would have gotten the red card by now, I feel like. So that question, does MEW work well with cold storage? Do you mean like sending and receiving from a cold storage wallet or as cold storage? Because as cold storage, yeah, it does. It does. You can actually, if you were to create one of these 24 seed phrases with the extra word in an offline environment and then confirm that that works, that's the best route in my opinion. Also the key store file. The issue with the key store file, I would say, is let's say you lose that original key store. You're fucked, right? Even if you keep the password, you're fucked. Forgive my language, but you'd be fucked. You need to keep a copy of that key store file, right? Whereas the seed is a little different. In theory, you can print out a few pieces of paper, cut them in half, put them in different locations. That way, if that initial location's ever compromised, well, only the first few words are compromised. And you keep them a certain way to where it's hard to decipher on that paper. But personally, I would create one for both. I'd create a key store cold storage, and I would create a mnemonic with an extra word cold storage that you only deposit into, right? We'd have to create those in an air-gapped environment in an offline setting. And I will honestly, when we do that, I'm just going to walk through. They have a fact section on how to do it on their website, MyEtherWallet.com. I follow that to the T, and I never have any issues. Whenever I run into any issues, I just go back to that, and it always gets me through. So I wanted to see, I am not sure. And as you can see, it'll hold your NFTs. There's no problem there. I wanted to give you guys an example. I don't think it's going to show it on the browser, though. It's only on mobile. Yeah, in here, this is what's interesting that I'd love some answers from MyEtherWallet. We're accessing just the 24 seed phrase, right, on the browser. But we can't connect to any sites. We can go to the ENS manager, we can stake, but you can't browse. Now, on your mobile device, if you're testing this, if you went in and downloaded it and imported your 24 seed phrase, you'll find that, give me one moment. You'll find that at the bottom right-hand side, right? If you just go into your wallet and you log in and you select your wallet, go to the right-hand side, you'll see icons across the bottom. Now, it might look a little different on a Mac, but it's wallet, swap, markets, earn, and browser. Similar to here, but a little bit different, right? Go to browser. It's going to allow you to select from a lot of options that are already there, right? Featured options. What's interesting is that under the featured options, it looks similar to this screen that we're looking at here. It doesn't say OpenSea. It doesn't give you a spot to browse, right? You see Rarible, you see Aave, you see Unstoppable Domains, Loopring Exchange, MakerDAO, but you don't see any of that. All you got to do is search dApps, and I wonder if I do the same thing here, it'll do that too. See, I don't see... We'll test here in a moment. Is there a search on the main page? No. It's one thing I noticed. It's like the desktop version is slightly limited in this fashion. I can just go here on the mobile and type in OpenSea.io, and it's just making sure it's secure. And bam, all I have to do is go up to that little blue button for OpenSea, and I'm going to open up here so that you guys see real time. So up here on mobile, this icon here is going to be to your left, right? It's going to have a little arrow. You press that arrow, you make sure you go to your account, my profile, and then that's going to show that top address and whatever NFTs you've transferred into it so far, whatever ETH you've transferred into it. You should see this first one here, unless of course you've created a second one and a third one, right? And it's as simple as that. So from here, I can list, I can delist, I can buy, I keep my hot cold storage ID, that second ID, that public address with, that's related to that extra word. I'll keep it in a notepad on my phone so that this is my monkey in the middle, right? Doing my thing here. I then send it off to that other one once I'm done, once I know I'm not going to access one for a little while. That way, if my phone's ever compromised, that primary wallet's never compromised. You know what I mean? So that's the purpose of using this method. It allows you to start doing things on the go with more peace of mind, knowing that as long as you follow through with the steps and make sure you don't leave anything of significant value in there longer than a week, your chances of losing anything through, due to being compromised are slim to none, right? Obviously, you run that risk if you're lazy with it, right? And leave things in there and just say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, all it takes is that 12 to 24 hours. Depending, of course, right? Like, if you're not leaving the house, if you're not joining public Wi-Fi's, if you're mindful of where that phone connects to, you can operate with more peace of mind knowing. Let's see. Okay, I was just rereading all the questions, but they're the same. Yeah. So does that answer that there, Gary? With you said, does Oh, it looks like it just didn't refresh. I now see your new questions here. OpenSea is having so many problems this week. Yes, they are. OpenSea is having so many problems. Yep. It's insane. It's insane. So be cautious. Like, I'm also concerned that these hackers are going to try to, or not hackers, but scammers are going to try to send something saying, is your OpenSea broken? Well, click this to refresh your cache or, you know, clear your cache and cookies. Please do not follow any links. OpenSea, any of like Microsoft, for example. I'm going to cut back. So many of you know my history, right? Before I went down the path becoming a network engineer, dog trainer, all that, I worked in a family-owned computer store. I would check in computers, fix them, check them out. Hardware, software, sometimes networking tweaks. The biggest issue was that the biggest scam that was succeeding at the time, they were targeting generally grandmas, right? Generally women past 50 to 80 that were using a computer. They would figure out what their IP address was, figure out what their telephone number is, and they would call, right? I have a feeling that's going to happen with NFTs sooner than later. That's why, like, when you air your dirty laundry, so to speak, out on the social webs, well, it's not too hard to find out what somebody's phone number is nowadays. So who's to say these scammers aren't working on a list and doing these scams like these Microsoft scammers were doing in the early 2010 decade, right? And even early 2000s. I mean, oh, but I got a call from Microsoft saying they want to help me, or they notice something's wrong and they want to log in. Microsoft, all these companies are huge billion-dollar companies. OpenSea is at that point now too. They just got a billion-dollar valuation, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly. They are not going to go and DM you or call you individually, and not unless you have, you're in contact with one of the team members and they say we'll get back to you. You're not going to get a call out of the blue. I'm worried that we're going to start seeing those scams occur. So please, if you're not in contact with anybody at OpenSea, Rarible, Foundation, any of Nifty's, any of these main marketplaces, and you get a phone call, a cold phone call saying they are calling from that place, hang up the fucking phone. Just hang it up. Don't let your curiosity get the best of you, right? Because all it takes is for you to say, okay, yeah, sure, take over my computer, come help me fix this. Bam. They'll take your seed phrase immediately. They will expose that seed phrase immediately. Now, I know there is a safety switch in most cases that you have to type in your password to reveal the seed phrase. But if you let them on your computer in the first place, chances are they're going to work their way to that with or without your password, right? I love it. So, hey, I'm glad that was helpful. Sweet. Yeah. But I just wanted to share that with you guys because, man, like, we're just starting to see the scams. There's going to be so many more scams, and they're going to try every avenue to get your monies, right? So be vigilant. Repeat after me. Repeat after me. Repeat after me. I will not give out my seed phrase. I will never, ever give out my seed phrase. Ever. And I think I made my point. Sweet. So is there anything else? I know we're coming up on close to an hour here. Ever. Is there anything else in relation to this process that we just walked through that you have any questions on? As you can see here on the desktop, you cannot go browse OpenSea through the mnemonic phrase. That's a big negative, right? But the whole point of setting this up was to create another wallet that's separate, that safeguards your NFTs and your Ethereum, and allows to serve as like an added layer, right, of security. So if you are compromised, you have that time to transfer things to your hot cold, and then from there, go create a new set of wallets, right? I know there's some projects that they're going to keep track of what your original mint address was. My advice in that case, right? Let's say your original mint address was compromised. First, protect your assets, transfer them away yourself securely as soon as possible. And then secondly, for that platform you're concerned about, reach out to them and say, hey, this is what happened. My wallet was compromised. I know that you're going to keep records of this with that wallet. Is there any way? What can we do, right? Each project is going to have their own solution for that scenario, if they're even willing to work with you, right? I would personally, if somebody comes to us and says, hey, my wallet was compromised, but I was able to move the monkey bite. Well, in our case, luckily, wherever that monkey bite sits, that's the wallet we use, right? We're not looking at the OG wallet. I thought about that. And since we aren't working with Nameless yet, that's not something we want to incorporate quite yet. But I see why Gary did that. Because Gary touts this quite a bit. You guys see what he... the way he explains NFTs to his friends on certain clips. Think of if you knew exactly what hands that collectible touched, right? Let's say that baseball actually went through Babe Ruth's hands, right? He actually held it. You have proof, right? In this scenario, you have proof that OG, that person that you're going to know in 20, 30 years, that wherever they are in life, whatever they're doing, you're going to be able to see the transaction history from the OG that supported the project to everybody who's had it since. I love what he did there. Love it. Let's see. Ever. Yeah, so I think that's... I think we're going to wrap it up. I mean, unless you guys have any questions, if you want to see something here, V-Floor... No shit. You know what? I love it, Gary. Let's switch over and turn this into a quick NFT news day because I noticed Supducks. Shout out Supducks. I'm glad I delisted mine. I'm holding that one for a while. You know what? I got a hologram skin, I think, or disco skin. Disco. You know what's funny? I'm shocked. That tab of acid on the tongue for those characters. He calls it wavy. I would have assumed he called it like disco biscuits or something along those lines, going with that era. You know, going with the disco skin, but I don't know. But let's pop it open here. This is insane. It was just 8 earlier this morning, no? Basically 10. Yeah. Holy shit. What just happened? Somebody's sweeping this floor. Can you guys see my screen? Oh, you're looking at me. Hold on. Yeah, let's jam it up here. Wow. Are they all going now? The one thing I always like to look at is who are they going to? Is it going to one wallet or are they jumping around? Or is one wallet getting multiples? So what we see here is very interesting. AC24, is it the... No. Man, these are all unique purchases for the most part. Wow. And see, here's another thing. Little tip for everybody. I get it. You want to let everybody know you're secure. I'm concerned about the future of these wallets, right? I'm not hating on Ledger. I think it's a great device. I personally I don't use them, right? But here's what you're doing. You're telling the public that you're storing this wallet on a ledger. So let's say somebody's a savage and they want to come rob you. They figure out where you live. Well, guess what? All they have to look for is a ledger. You know what I mean? Like, you were giving away information by changing your title to the wallet ID, to the hardware manufacturer. It's just making it that much easier to get to you, right? To find this. So I recommend if you are storing things on a ledger or some type of hardware wallet, don't name it that. Because if somebody close to you wants to come steal your shit, or somebody somewhat close to you wants to come socially engineer their way into your life and figure out, oh shoot, here's his address. Oh shoot, every Wednesday he goes to this yoga class, or she or this, right? Well, who's to say somebody's not waiting? You know, I don't mean to scare you guys, but that's a big concern I have. Stop. You know, I would highly recommend do not label your wallet addresses, that OpenSea address with your hardware manufacturer. It's just not smart. It's not smart. It's smart that you're putting it in that wallet, but so I hope JS Home, if you're watching this, please be mindful of that. Everybody be mindful of that. I know that's not the only one I've seen. And please don't take that personal, right? You don't know until like something happens, right? So let's see. Okay, so look at this one. There was a floor sweeper here, Gary. Did you notice this? Yeah, you did mention that. Let me refresh the chat. This is weird. I'm curious. Have you guys seen any drop-offs today, or has it been a stable stream all the way through? Oh, you have seen a drop-off? Or no? Stable. I love it. That's beautiful. No, thank you. Yeah, for some reason the chat, it usually refreshes immediately, but it's not for some weird reason. So I have to come and hit refresh to make sure I see you. Yeah, look at this wallet here. Who is this? And for anybody curious, right? If you're ever browsing, let's say you come across a wallet and you're curious as to, okay, what's this wallet activity look like? This wallet, I mean, you can obviously go here to activity, but you can also take it one step further. Open up etherscan.io. I automatically go to gas tracker, but what you want to do is just search, and you can see, all right, there's the balance of that wallet. But then more importantly, you can kind of see where the money came from too. Right? If you look, you can see how old the wallet is, 33 total transactions. You can kind of get a sense of, okay, where'd this come from? Now, is this somebody else's wallet, or is this, so they have a lot of stable coins. That could be a stablecoin wallet. And another little trick here is you can kind of see here. Naive. 19 naive. Yeah, so they do use Uniswap here. So, but it's just, you know, if you're ever curious to browse the chain, this is kind of how you can kind of see. And you can sense if somebody's making a big deposit from Coinbase, it'll tell you right here it's coming from a known Coinbase wallet. This one's not telling us because chances are that wallet changes, so they don't have an identifier on it. You know what I mean? They don't claim it to be a certain wallet. Let's go look into that, though. I'm curious. Unless that's one of the hot spares that this person was using. You know, it's hard to really tell. But, you know, if you're curious, you can kind of see, all right, did this person deposit USD through Coinbase to make this purchase? Or is this somebody else in the economy? Yeah, wallet had no activity until 4 days ago. Yeah, with only 33 transactions, I mean, that's a new wallet. So unless, I hate to say it, right? Unless it's somebody just moving wallet to then buy some extras, I mean, it's hard to figure out exactly where it comes from. But for those who didn't know, you can go and search just by copying this address up here. Go into etherscan.io. But man, this is insane. So the floor is back up to 10. What the fuck? Visa. I'm waiting for Visa to go buy a something VFriends. You know what I mean? I get why they did the CryptoPunk, but man. So I'm gonna cut it back. Yeah, let's actually go check one more floor because I was shocked that this floor rose so quickly. Subducts. Yep, these are flying quickly. They're starting to see multiples. I wish I could move the camera. So Blue is dreaming right now. I can see him dreaming. He's breathing and doing the quick little nose things, and then he's wagging his tail while he's dreaming. Optimo never did that. She'd run. You know, you'd see her try to run on her side. It's hella funny. Sorry, squirrel to the max right there. I'd turn the camera, but it's fixed. If you want to see it, Gary, I can turn it. It's pretty funny. Now I have to decide to delist or not. I have one for 18 with the plan to buy back in at 7.5. Yeah, man, that's the trick with those things. Like, it's unless you time it right, it's tough to know, right? Is the floor going to stay where it's at? Is it going to go up? It's going to go down. Yeah, man, that's a tough decision. And isn't that a rare and not just a core? So it's that hasn't the pricing there, I don't think's matured. I think if anything, the pricing's matured more on cores than anything else, because it doesn't make sense that the spectaculars are only going for 30 when they're one of ones, and cores are already going for upwards of 10. You know what I mean? Yeah, very rare. I feel like those very rares, it's an orange, yeah, if I remember correctly. Orange, right? 1 of 5. I think that was actually my first V-friend, so I was kind of looking back. That's why I wanted to just keep a core. Yeah. Yeah, you know, unless, right, you take the strategy. Now, before I continue, obviously this is not financial advice for anybody watching, but if you were to take that strategy, maybe pricing it at the floor of those very rares, not that specific character, but then you run the risk of it sitting there, the floor of the cores rising to the point where that one sells before you have a chance to delist it. And then, yeah, you'll still profit. It's not going to be as much profit as you anticipated, but you may regret the decision. You know what I mean? That's why it might be best. Shoot, you know, that's a tough one, man. Unless you try to play the market with the cores, right? If you think the core floor is going to go back down before his announcements, because we saw what just happened, right? I mean, this is not, we can't predict these things, but if you're observing, well, we just observed the hype up to Avastars, right? And all those announcements, and then we came down, right? So selling the core at the top, let it come down, buy another core. But then you run the risk of being priced out of the cores altogether. Yeah, I've learned, I'm going to share this with the audience, and I'm going to be mindful. We'll make sure we put the chat up here to the right on the screen. We have this extra space, so I want to put the chat here for all the future people watching this on YouTube so they can, you know, see what I'm responding to and what Scott and I are responding to on the screen. But I'm going to read it here. I have learned in general that there is always more liquidity on the floor. That's what I am worrying about, though. Gary is making an announcement tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Hey, Insider. Shout out. Shout out to Gary, a.k.a. Dream Choker, a.k.a. Broken, for the shout out. I didn't know it was tomorrow. As you know, today wasn't a big IT day for me. I've been off and on calls all day. It's like when people have emergencies, they have them all at the same time in my life. I feel like, you know, technically they all want to call me the same day. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's like deja vu. I see it year and year and year after. It's crazy. Let's close this. But yeah, you can see here the Ducks floor. It's not 0.64. I looked at this earlier and I was like, huh, it's 0.87. Fucking 0.87. I remember, I hope somebody listened. I remember saying something about these subducks a week or two ago. I said, hey, September is going to be a something for the subducks. Frankie Nines mentioned that. I remember I follow him on all his accounts. So he's pushing for a September. And we're not even there yet. And the floor's risen. When he made that announcement, it was at a 0.2. It was a quarter of an ETH. And going back to what I was just talking with Gary here, none of the floors are updating. Yeah, OpenSea is broken. Yeah, so you have to manually go in. For anybody browsing OpenSea right now and they're looking at the floor price here, understand that that's not entirely accurate. Just make sure you go down here, click the buy it now so you get rid of all the auctions right here. And it does now. They did fix this recently. It didn't always organize it from price low to high. That should be the first option. If it's not, toggle down, select. And this is the floor. That's insane. Yeah, I remember when I kind of mentioned that to Scott too. I said, Scott, if you wanted to get some subducks, now's the time. But you know what? He made a good choice with the Onis. I regret not buying into them. You know, actually I don't. I really don't. I just want one of the dreadheads. Now, as you guys know, with me, the dreads, I'm not cutting these for a while. I told myself this decade is the decade of dreads. You know what I mean? So I'm going to have these until 2030. How long they be, you know, how long they become, I don't know. I'll probably keep trimming them down. I haven't cut them yet. I go in next week to get all the sides locked up because I have some extra fuzzy hair that I was growing out when I was doing the side shave. But yeah, enough about that. You guys don't want to hear about that. I love this. I love how we can just jam. Yeah, so I think we're just gonna, unless there is any other last minute questions, I think we're gonna call it a day. So I'll wait for the chat to populate here. This was a great tech tip. This is the longest tech tip we've done. I know it wasn't all focused on the tech tip itself, but I hope this was valuable. I hope this brings value to you. I hope you learned something from this. I hope you have more peace of mind when operating out of these wallets, and a better understanding of security in related to your seed phrase. And I hope you remember one thing I did say. Repeat after me. I will not give out my seed phrase. I will not give out my seed phrase. I will not give out my seed phrase. And I think that's a wrap. My name is Marcelo. This is another segment of Tech Tip Tuesdays. I believe this is take 3. Thanks for the tip. Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, hey, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And yeah, any questions you have, make sure you drop them in that Discord for BitmonkeyTV. Maybe we can do some follow-ups. I do want to get to a point where I'm streaming a mobile device. So like I said, I'm either going to do that via emulator, or I'm just going to, I have a third phone I can use that's technically not connected, but we can get that working. We can get a SIM card in there, and I can find a way to capture that screen. So we'll work on that for future episodes. Thank you for tuning in. This is BitmonkeyTV. This is Marcelo signing off. It's Tuesday. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll catch you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m.